Hey everyone, it's Kenlyn and welcome back to my channel. This is your eclipse report. I'm excited about this eclipse, even though it's intense, as all eclipses are, because they are letting go, they are karmic, they are release mechanisms, but there's some really beautiful energy about where we're going. And this is particularly a message to you if you're a medicine woman, a healer, a shaman, a guide, a walker between worlds. If you're one who has been holding space for the vision of a new earth, if you're a priestess and you have come back to be here during the change of an age, and you're a channeler of that change of an age, then you are in the right place to actually see what's happening. And I want you to have eyes to see and ears to hear. I want you to illumine your inner knowing, your inner sight, your inner ear, because you're going to hear and see something in this transmission that you have known for a while. And I want to tell you that you're here, that this is here. It has arrived. Because sometimes we can get caught up as priestesses, especially when we're alone and we're out there in the world and we're not surrounding ourselves with people who talk like this. We forget. And I know we've just been through Virgo, and that Virgo is the trenches. It's the systems and processes. Because remember, Virgo represents our embodiment, life on earth. Pisces represents the spirit, the oneness of which we all came when we broke up into lots of little parts as spirit. To what? To see each other, to recognize each other. Because think about it. Oneness can't know itself because there's no other self to know the self. There's only one self. So imagine the parable, and this isn't true, but it's just an allegory. Imagine that oneness broke itself up into a million, billion, trillion, gazillion pieces called you and me and that waterfall and the rock and the dog, to see itself, to witness itself, to know itself. What if the whole game that we're here on earth for is intimacy? To be known and to know. You know, there's a beautiful quote from Mark Epstein that says, "It takes two to know one." That's in his book, Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart. Great book. So think of where we're at as that. And we're in some kind of a milestone in that job that we've had, the cosmic job that we've had of coming to Earth at this time and midwifing the change of an age. Now, if you saw my astrology video of why do we study astrology, because we on Earth are very affected by the planets, and the planets are maps, they're blueprints. But how do we have a say? By our frequency, by the music we sing and play, through our instrument, through the hand that we're dealt. And as priestesses, we're here to die many deaths, many ego deaths, so that we can birth civilizations, because nothing good is born out of holding on to that which has expired. And that is the whole point of the lunar eclipse cycles and solar eclipse cycles. So we're going into a wormhole, and that starts on the 17th of September at 7:34 p.m. Pacific time, 18th for some of you. And we're initiating it through a partial full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces at 25 degrees. So that means that the sun is opposite in Virgo at 25 degrees. It's almost ready to move into Libra, right? It's got 5 degrees before it hits that 0 degree Libra, the sun, that is. And that begins the equinox. That is that cardinal sign, that Libra, Aries. Those are our equinoxes. And those signal the change of light. They're not astrological, but they're signaling the change of light, the change of a season. The cardinal sign that we go into that initiates that equality are these new beginnings. That's what a cardinal sign is, a new beginning. They are initiatory. And I'll do a video on the equinox later, but right now I just want to show you how it fits into the paradigm that we're in right now. We're in a release mechanism. So full moons themselves are already that. And this is doubly so. It's a super full moon. So we're going to feel the effects. They're going to, like, it's like a bigger rock that falls into a pond, and the ripple effects are just bigger. They're maybe like more waves than just a little trickle. And it's still a release mechanism. It's still asking us to shed old ways of being. And if you look at where is Pisces, where is Virgo in my chart, and contemplate that. I use whole house astrology so that I can get my arms around, like, nailing down a house where the sign is. It's easiest. And it yields accurate, predictable results. Like, you can find something in it for yourself, is probably a better way of saying it. So if you find where those are in your chart, in the wheel, the zodiac wheel that goes counterclockwise from your rising sign, then you can see the lessons that you're learning. It'll illuminate something. It'll give you like a perspective shift of what is being asked of you. And it may show up in weird, odd ways, like your relationship, even though it might be in your house of creativity or children. So just think and contemplate, what is being eclipsed here? Like, I have no visibility. I go into darkness and then the light turns on. So if we imagine that the sun and the moon are opposite, and in a full moon, the sun lights up the moon, and then the earth plays interference here and darkens that moon, that's like the reboot mechanism. It's like the before and after, like when you turn off your computer and suddenly when you do that, I don't know why that happens. It just, like, stuff works, programs work. It's like defragging. And I love that as a metaphor for our own consciousness. So when we do ritual, for example, and Pisces is a water sign, so this could be a water ritual. It could be putting yourself into a lake, into the ocean, into your bathtub, taking a saltwater bath, or a cold plunge, something that's going to submerge you in this watery terrain and baptize you, come out baptized. And telling yourself, your psyche, this is what I'm releasing. And then you can say on the tail of that, and anything known or unknown, like anything I don't even know that's in my subconscious, because Pisces is also ruling the subconscious. So that's a lot to say. This is big, life-changing energy. And how do we know that? Because we've had eclipses, we have them all the time, and they function on 18.5-year cycles. So we have lots of different cycles. The whole earth is cycles after cycles after cycles. But how do we know that this is life-changing? Well, we know by the whole context of what we're doing. We have Pluto going retrograde into Capricorn, and I'm going to talk for a minute on those trines. We have the majority of planets changing signs in 2025, 2026. We have Pluto beginning an entirely new cycle. Pluto has the most gravitas of all the planets. And so we take its lead, and it's changing signs, and it's going into Aquarius. So we know that we are on the cusp of a change of an age. And have you not felt it? Have you not seen it? Have you not witnessed it in the world around you, as well as yourself, outside, inside, as that mystical axiom goes, above and below? And that's really Virgo Pisces axes, above the constellation of the planets, or even higher than that, beyond that, the galaxy, the higher realms, the mystery coming down to earth. And that's what that's signaling. So this particular eclipse is happening at this time of a beautiful minor grand trine that ultimately forms a kite. And you could say that there's a kite formation in this particular full moon lunar eclipse as well. It's not as exact, but here are the players. And these are the players that we're going to be playing with. And they're gifting us with the higher frequency. They're gifting us with a quantum acceleration. And this is what you've been working for as a light worker, a leader, a visionary leader, as someone who has gone to your own depths of wounding and transmuted and transformed that and given your medicine. Now, we're not perfect and we deal with our wounding in our human life. And that wounding is like Chiron, the wounded healer, keeping us humble. And it's the divine feminine Characlo who heals the mythical Chiron. So we can claim our healing in this eclipse as we move through it. We can claim our healing and we can open the gates to the frequency of the medicine that's running through us, becoming more amplified, becoming clearer, and in fact, becoming innovative and new. That's what I see when I tap into this. And I'd love to hear what you see. Tap into it and put it in the comments. So this pivot point is bringing about some very big changes in your life, and chances are you already know what they are. And the players that are implicated in this trine. So we think about, and I love drawing this in my chart. So if you are familiar with the wheel, you find where is Neptune in your chart. Neptune's at 28 degrees Pisces retrograde. So you find that, put a little dot in your chart. This is your natal. And then we have Uranus retrograde in Taurus at 27 degrees, put a little dot there. And then we have Pluto, and I'm kind of doing it in my chart. I can see my chart in my head. Pluto retrograding in Capricorn at 29 degrees. So they're forming this grand trine. And then we have up at the top, so Neptune is at that 28 degree point retrograde. Then we have right next to it 25 degrees, the moon in Pisces. So they're sharing the same sign. They're at 4 degrees apart. No, 3. And then we have the sun opposite the moon. So it's that configuration, and the sun is like holding it down as this anchor point, while big 3 work their magic. And I'm not going to talk about the trine. This is about the eclipse, but that's what's happening. There's geometry that's happening that is allowing the floodgates of the mystic to come through. But the price of admission is letting go. And when you put it that way, it makes it seem doable, doesn't it? Like I think about myself and the things I'm up against and the patterns that have been revealed to me, and the boundaries and the way that I don't even hold boundaries with myself. My sacred service, Virgo, it's all about service, not just to others, but to yourself, to your body, to your embodiment, to your cosmic self. And when we think about those things as, wow, would you like to expand your gnosis, your cosmic self, your sense of God, the universe, and the price you have to pay is, okay, let's say it this way. I'm going to say it in a very Pluto way. The price you have to pay is death. It's just death. But it's the dying that has you living. Those that lose their life will gain it. That is a spiritual axiom, not just said by Yeshua, but by other ascended masters, because it's a principle of mysticism that you must die to the things that the ego craves. And by now, I mean, no ego likes this. We don't like this. But that's part of what's built into this mechanism. Things are leaving, even if you're clenched really tightly. It's like sand. It's like water. They're falling through your fingers. You can't stop it. It's fated. It's said that eclipses are fated. So it was like always going to happen. I remember I sat with a spiritual teacher, Jeff Foster. He came to Boulder while I was there, and I had just lost my dog, my soulmate dog. And I was devastated. And then this boyfriend that I had, who at the time oh my God, I loved him so much. He broke up with me, but then when he heard that my dog died, he came back in. And then as soon as he thought I was okay, he left again. Now, that was like karmic shit that I had to purge for sure. But I remember sitting with Jeff Foster and I was devastated. This was maybe 10 days after all of that happened. And Jeff said this to me, never in a million years, Kenlyn, was that going to work out. I'm laughing about it now because when you have visibility, and it's not so emotional, and it's not triggering all your attachment wounds and all the things, I can see how I was totally spared in that moment. I could also see the gift that my dog's passing brought to me. It was like huge gifts, huge. Like I literally healed. That was the beginning of healing my attachment wound, like full stop. And it's also, if I look at cycles, it's totally in line with astrology that was going to happen. But when he said that, it's kind of like that fated thing where the mind holds hope and the mind tries to game you and it tries to work you, right? It's like you're trying to find the trap door. You're trying to find the escape. And like Jeff kind of just cut through it. And he was like, there was no way in a million years it was going to work out. Our minds are tricky. So we get to cut through it and be like, no, in a million years, it wasn't going to happen. And by the time you've reached a certain level of spiritual maturity, you already know that fight isn't worth fighting. And then in fact, you will have visibility down the road, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, or 10 years. And you're going to go, holy shit, my whole life changed at that moment. And that letting go, maybe it was hard. Maybe I kicked and screamed. Maybe I said it wasn't fair. Maybe I was in my victim for a while, or maybe I transitioned like one of my friends says, I didn't miss a beat. Maybe you didn't miss a beat and you just swipe left and you're next. Whatever it is, however you do it, because honestly, we are human and we're here to have the full spectrum of emotions. So however you choose to do this, loss and letting go, the word on the other end, the reward is this awakening, this spiritual awakening. And really that's the minor grand trine that I want to talk about next, because that's the thing that as priestesses, shaman, guides, healers, you have seen in your sight, you have seen in the imaginal realm, and you have been calling it in here, right now, here. And so Virgo says, hey, listen, we are here to live that. We are here to live our awakening on earth. And so these are heaven and earth codes right now. The heaven and earth codes are huge. So we're going into quantum leap, a quantum timeline upgrade. We're going into a light code upgrade. And I'm not going to talk about that here because there's loss before that. There's letting go before that. And we got to get real with that. And yeah, like I wrote down endings before beginnings. And this is a 6-month reverb. It's going to take a while for us to really see. We've been through so much this year, last year, every year. We're going to go into much, much more. And I'll end on this note. And it's something you already know, but I got to remind you of it. And that is that the old way of seeing things, just imagine that we're like this, but we don't know we're like this. We're just like this. And we think, no, I got visibility. I'm good. But we don't. Imagine that these structures have to move or fall away, depending on how much sight you're willing to have. They've got to move away for us to walk into the new world. And so as you've been doing your work, and maybe you as a healer yourself, you need a healing. You need a quantum leap. You need a breakthrough, because certainly you're not immune. This is your moment. It's the both and moment of what you've been working for collectively and what you've been working for in your own self. Self, other self. It's same. So this is a moment. Let's gather all of this energy in between our palms of our hands, imagining the weavings and the workings of the world and beaming it out. I can feel my hands vibrating. I can feel you vibrating. And let us say together, as we gather all this positive energy that we have generated through our remembering, may all beings benefit from the merits of our efforts.